City Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Richard Acritelli. This podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County. On today's episode of The Fog of War and Humanity, here on hmTv, my special guest is Clarence Simpson, will join me for a conversation about his experiences as a Vietnam War veteran and being a total advocate towards all veterans. Let's get started, Clarence. Where did you grow up as a young man there?
Okay, I grew up in Harlem, USA. That was my first few years. I finished high school in Senator Richards, Long Island.
All right, so how long did you live in Harlem for?
Till around 13, 14 years old.
All right, so you go up to Harlem,
Yeah,
and Harlem's not too far from Long Island.
from Long
or
Island, yeah.
Tri-state area, right?
Yeah.
When you drive through Harlem now in recent times, is there any one thing that you have like reminders of?
I have reminders of, first of all, I can't afford to buy the house that we grew up in.
So everything's just gone through the ceiling, right?
Everything is up in the ceiling. But the thing that I remember the streets, of growing up on the streets with the fire hydrants, building scooters out of milk crates and 2x4s and roller skates. I was talking a couple of weeks ago about, with another veteran, that there was a Borden's ice cream right at
Was that the cow, Borden's?
that was the cow.
The cow,
Elsie
right?
the cow.
Yeah, that was the old,
Yeah, Borden's Ice Cream Factory, right there on Park Avenue where the L was. And every day around 4 or 5 o'clock when the trucks came back, we made sure we were there.
Yeah.
Because they gave us the little Dixie cups with the little wooden spoon.
Yeah.
And I still have family that live there. Still have family that live in Harlem.
You know what
And we're
interesting
still in touch.
about you say with the ice cream?
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on Eddie Murphy. I believe he was a Roosevelt kid, right? He was
Yeah,
Long
right.
Island.
Yeah.
And he goes, we didn't have much, but we had ice cream. Like there was a family member that they would always get free ice cream
Right.
from where they worked, you know, and they bring it
they
out.
bring it home, yeah.
And he just laughed about it, you know.
Yeah.
So
It was a great experience going up there. I still go back every now and then. Like I said, family's still there, friends are still there, and plus, I think that one of the best things that my father was, he had foresight, very positive foresight, because he got me, mom, and my siblings out of the city, out into Manorville, where we
That was the
built
country,
the house.
right?
Yeah, we built the house and moved out there in '59.
now you go from the city, playing stickball on the streets.
Yeah.
Are you a Yankee fan in Harlem? Or
No,
were you guys
I was a Dodger.
Dodgers
We
fan?
had Dodgers.
Okay.
We had a
All
Dodger
right.
fan. My uncles, everybody was a Dodger fan back in the day.
Did you have family in Brooklyn also, or
No, Brooklyn was
South? Yeah. All right. So now you probably had the fire hydrants that were open, right?
we had the fire hydrants that were open. That's one of the things I was going to mention also, where we would get I guess it was a beer can like Schaefer or Peels or something like Pabst Blue Ribbon, and you'd open both sides, and you'd open up the unscrew the nut on the top, and you just take the can and aim it at each other.
Yeah, sure.
Or a car that would pass by. And then the other thing about growing up in the city was the fact that there was always the Iceman who would take the big block of ice upstairs, and while he was upstairs, we would chip the ice and suck on the ice all day.
Wow.
There was the...
Imagine having that job. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
You're literally humping that stuff all
day.
And
all day, people would put the ice on top of the refrigerator. Well, it wasn't a refrigerator, Frigidaire, or whatever they called it. Icebox. I'm sorry, the icebox.
Literally was an icebox.
Literally.
Right? Yeah.
And then there was the one thing I always remember, and I tried to do an image of that when I was in high school, and I did an image of it, where the guy would come down the street with the horse, and all the vegetables on the side, and the signs on top of the sticks, like green peas, would be out of brown paper bags, and he would use crayons to put the price in and so forth in. And then there was the icy guy, and Mark is probably remembering this if he's from the city. Yeah. But there was the icy man that would come down with the block of ice, and he would scrape the ice, and he had all the bottles of different colors of sodas, juice, or like Kool-Aid, and they'd pour it on the little cups and stuff like that. It was the roller skating. Movies, I think back then was a movie on 125th Street. There were a couple of movies on 125th Street, one on 116th, and we'd be like 5 or 10 cents. You sit there all day. All day. Right? All day watch a movie.
And it was always something to do. Right?
Always something to do. Always something to do. We made games up.
Sure.
Which was really good. And
did you like playing any sports growing up, whether it was in Harlem or out in Manorville?
Well, I played soccer for 4 years. I played basketball, and I ran track.
Wow. Yeah. So you're active.
Yeah,
right?
Very active, yeah.
Out of those 3 sports, which one stays with you the most?
Ones I can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Basketball.
You're a big guy, like with basketball. Were you? Yeah. You're probably obviously a forward or a center, right?
Center. Yeah.
And where was that? Where?
Santa Mauritius.
Santa Mauritius.
Yeah.
Wow.
Santa Mauritius High. Played soccer for Santa Mauritius, basketball, track. I ran track. I ran 220, 100-yard dash, and I ran them. I think it was a 440 medley.
Wow.
The relay, yeah. And high jumped. I high jumped.
So you were always moving. Huh?
Always moving, yeah.
So now you go from literally the energy of Manhattan, of Harlem, right? Yeah. You got everything at your fingertips in terms of if you want to go here or go there, you could just do it, right?
Yeah.
Now you go out to Manorville, right? And it's a little bit different.
I said under my breath, under the covers, Daddy must have lost his mind to move way out of here. Yeah. But when we moved out to Manorville, what happened? My grandparents his parents had already lived there, and they had my grandfather had a farm. Okay. So he had chickens, pigs, cows, ducks, corn, peas, cabbage, all that. And we moved out there on the other side. Well, now it's on the other side of Sunrise. We moved out there up the road a piece, and my dad and I built a house while we lived in it. So I also had my chores to do. So when I came home, I had to chop wood.
Yeah.
I had to get the kerosene. I had to pump water, stuff like that. And he would leave chores, wire the living room because we're going to get electricity one day soon. Solder, put the copper pipes. When I get home from work, we'll finish up putting sheet.
What did your dad do?
He was an engineer.
Engineer.
Yeah.
So
it was my stepdad, but he was mom remarried. That's why we ended up out there.
Did you learn any of being good with your hands through him?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you took to it too.
Yeah, yeah. I must admit that I learned a lot from him. I mean, invaluable. Yeah, it'll always be with you.
Sure.
Yeah. And then, I still had my schoolwork to do. I still played sports, but he always fit in.
Yeah. Make sure you get this done.
Make sure I got the stuff done, the spackling. And
there was no such thing as a spoiled kid years ago.
There was none.
Now you got guys doing their LOLs on the cell phones. It's a little different.
No cell phones.
Yeah. When you think of going out there, right?
Yeah.
And you say, he must have lost his mind, right? Was it the sports or was it just being a different environment? What made you adjust to being?
I think it was the family dynamic because I was the eldest of 4 siblings, 4 of us, and I was the oldest. And
you were what, 13 years old?
13, 14 years old.
Okay. Yeah. So you're old enough where.
Yeah. So I'm sure that, we all hung together on that, the whole family. I was big brother with Daddy, and him and I did a lot together. I mean, a lot. together, and my brother and sisters, they all three of them.
He must have been a pretty good guy, because
He was excellent.
sometimes second marriages or, stepfathers,
Well,
sometimes that's not always an easy situation.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where my mom decided to get married again, and he said, "I want to marry you," blah blah blah, and she said, "Well, I have a son," and he said, "So he comes too."
Yeah.
And I was never far and in between. I have never ever called him stepdad.
Yeah.
And he never said, "That's my stepson."
Yeah.
I've always been his son.
It's just a bond.
I've always been he's always been daddy. And my sisters, they've never been. Even to this day, we still don't. My stepsister.
Yeah, sure.
We never do that.
It's just family.
We're
right?
family.
And you're probably pretty lucky to say that, because as a teacher, I don't always see that.
Yeah.
In some cases, you do.
And sometimes it irks me when I hear someone say, "Well, that's my stepson."
Yeah.
But
As almost being like a negative.
Yeah,
right?
like it's a negative. But I always, sometimes I'll question them and I'll say, "Why do you say that?" But I've never ever. I mean, when he was on his dying bed at Mather, I remember the doctor asking him, "Reggie, who's that standing here?" He said, "That's my son." And it's always been that way.
Sure.
And that's how I was raised.
And that's a powerful moment, because you don't go back on it, right?
Yeah.
So now he gives you your chores. You help build your house that you live in for many years, right? That you could probably still drive by today.
Well, it's gone.
Is it gone there?
Yeah.
Did they knock the house down
They
and build
knocked it down. They covered it up. See, what happened? My dad bought 6 acres for $100 an acre.
Can you imagine what that would go for today?
I know it'll go for a day. And so we were the only house on a dirt road in Manorville. And where Sunrise Highway is now, between Wading River Road.
So you were that far south, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we watched Sunrise Highway come through.
Get built, huh?
Because my grandmother's house was on the south side, and we were north about a quarter of a mile, maybe a little further on the other side. It was one straight road. But Sunrise came through, and she was on the south side of the service road, and on the eastbound side, and we were on the north side now, further up. So it's still a dirt road.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know there was any houses up there.
So you saw the development and expansion of Central and Eastern Long Island.
Yeah, which really gets on my nerves too.
Yeah. Because the traffic now, everything it's not the way it used to be,
Factories. I mean, just watching how bulldoze, you pass by today, there's nice green forests and woods and so forth and animals.
Sure.
And now I pass by, like, One Horse Block Road near Sam's Club. They just tore the trees down across the street from there. They're putting a Toyota dealer up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing gets saved
There's
anymore.
nothing anymore. So we're queens.
Yeah, sure. All right, so now you're in high school. You play soccer, basketball. You're running. You enjoy all three. You're an active.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're only getting bigger and stronger, right?
Yeah.
What year do you graduate high school in there?
63.
So 1963. So 1963 is kind of the start of the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
You're not really quite sure. Kennedy doesn't know from one day to the next, right?
It was more of advisory.
Yeah.
The Green Beret were over there. Just exploratory forces, for education.
Sure.
Try to turn the country.
Go up against the guerrilla warfare a little bit,
things like
right?
that, yeah.
Now, you graduate. What are your plans after you graduate?
Okay, I graduated from college, from St. Mauritius High School, 63. I went to Suffolk Community.
Now, you graduate, because this is a little bit different than guys that are a little bit younger than you. Mm-hmm. They graduate in 65, 66, 67, 68.
Right.
They know the war is there.
Yeah.
Was it in the back of your mind, or was it just Southeast Asia was so far away?
I knew that there was a war only because, 63, there wasn't, JFK was killed.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that day when I was in the student lounge. JFK was killed.
Where in high school or college?
At Suffolk Community.
At Suffolk.
Selden. It was the only campus Selden Suffolk had back then.
And what were you doing? You were just in between classes, or?
I had one evening class. I had to go back. Well, I didn't leave the campus that day. So I stayed on campus, and I walked into the student lounge, and a couple of guys were watching the television in there. And they said that the president was just killed. And I said, wow. So I stood there watching that also. There were some tables set up there talking about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Indochina, Vietnam. But it wasn't interesting enough, or, you never really paid any attention to it. They had something like the John Birch Society in one end, and then they had the anti-war in one end. But that was it.
Yeah.
So I continued going to school, and then the summer of 65.
So do you get your 2-year degree?
No, I didn't. I was drafted when I took that summer off.
Oh, so you took a summer off, and then Uncle Sam.
I got, yes. What happened? I was a commuter, and I needed a car to keep going back and forth to school.
Yeah, Selden and Manorville.
Yeah. I used to hitchhike sometimes too, but I took that summer off and I found a part-time job. And during that summer break that I didn't register for fall semester, that's when I got my draft notice.
Wow.
And I tried to get into the Air Force, but they had like 99 people ahead of me. I went to Huntington. Huntington had a naval reserve place there, but the line was packed.
Sure.
So I just said, well, I'm gone. So I just waited and I went.
So you tried to enlist before the draft they got you.
They got me already.
But you're somewhere in between. You were trying, okay.
Yeah. So I got my draft notice to report.
Now, what's the reasoning for that? Because you have more of a say maybe over where you can go or what you can do if you enlist?
I had a choice that I could probably become whatever was offered.
Okay.
By the career in the Air Force or the career in the Navy. So I had a choice. But if you got drafted, you didn't have too much.
There was no choice. Right?
And the reason why I say that is because my brother-in-law was already in the 1st Cav over there in 65. And a very good friend of mine, he, God rest both of their souls, but he came out to the house and he was talking to my mom and my dad, and telling us about his experience on a ship going over there and how he didn't like water and all that.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was going because I had already got my draft notice. I was to report December 7th.
And there's no going back on the draft notice.
There's no going back. And
so you had a report on December 7th?
Yeah.
1965.
65.
Wow. You remember that date?
I remember that date. It'll always be
right, Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
But
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that draft date, people remember that, right?
Yeah. That's one thing in your service number.
When you get drafted, how do you find out? Do your parents give you the notice?
No, it comes in the mail.
You got it in the mail and you open it up?
You open the mail up, yeah. It says selective service, government official envelope, just like even in life. Like when you get mail in the house, if it's from Rocky Point Schools and it's from March of Dimes, which one are you going to open first? Rocky Point Schools. So when you see that, and
and nothing prepares you for it.
18
right?
years old.
Yeah.
And you don't get mail anyway.
Yeah.
But
it's a piece of mail you might not want to open, right?
So you got to open it. But then I said my goodbyes.
Now, was your father, was he in the military?
Yeah.
So your dad was in the military?
Yes.
What did he do?
He did electronics, radar, stuff like that. Yeah. He
was a sharp guy, huh?
Yeah. He was very sharp. Yeah. He was very, very sharp.
And when was he in the 50s, or was he World War II?
Had to be around just during the Second World War.
Second World War. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was around that age. Yeah.
And was he overseas? Was he here?
He was here.
He was here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he sit down and talk to you and say, you might, this is certain things you might expect? Or?
Well, the thing that I must admit was that the amount of, we had the discipline I had and the amount of work that we did building the house and so forth. And like I said, the discipline, I was.
Plus you had some college in you?
Yeah,
also,
I had the college.
Right?
I just beat, I guess, the era of the McNamara folly.
Yeah.
If you know what the McNamara folly
Robert
was.
McNamara. Right?
Yeah, what his folly was with his draft.
But
most of us that was on that bus out of Smithtown, we saw each other at the college. Most of us were.
Hey, I was in class with you.
We were in class with you.
We sat in that student center, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You gave me a ride to school one
most
day,
of us
right?
were in college already, so we didn't know each other, but we saw each one was familiar. That didn't I see you in the student lounge? Yeah, didn't I see you at what's the name's class? Yeah,
and that makes things a lot easier too.
Well, I was very fortunate when I got drafted, and the reason why I say that is because I was with the same Company A for 2 years.
All right, so you get drafted, then you go to basic, and you're with the same guys, right? Well, you're kind of moving through with them?
Yeah, I met those guys in Fort Dix reception, and we got on the...
So when you go from Smithtown, you go to Fort Hamilton?
Went to Fort Hamilton, swore in there.
And then you go to Dix?
Went to Fort Dix for 4 days, and another thing you never forget, a Green Beret walked in, and he told us that we were going to Fort Lewis, Washington, and then we're going to train. We're going to be together, and then we're going to Vietnam.
Wow!
And he told us the outfit, the unit we're going to be with, the battalion, and so forth. And we all went through basic AIT.
All out in Fort Lewis.
All out in Fort Lewis.
Wow! Because a lot of guys go to Benning, Jackson.
No,
right? Gordon, right?
Yeah, a lot of guys went to different places.
Yeah.
But we were together.
Did it work out better for you that even though you were out in Washington State and you're a little bit further away from home, 3,100 miles away, right?
Yeah.
But you were still with these guys.
Yeah.
And
it was great. We still keep in touch. I still see some of the guys at the VA hospital, or, if someone has a death in the family or whatever. We have reunions every 3 or 4 years.
So you had a little bit of a tight circle back in the mid-'60s, and it still stays with you.
Yeah.
Right? So
now moms are writing each other and calling each other and sending cakes and cookies to us and so forth. So as a matter of fact, just last week I got a call from a guy in Rhode Island he was an A company also that I met in Fort Lewis. And we're going to get together.
You ever see that Green Beret again after that in Fort Dix?
Never saw him. He never got on the plane.
But he was correct about a lot he was saying, right?
Correct about a lot of things.
Was he just like some sort of advisor or somebody that was there as like a attaché to
all we know is that he walked into the barracks and told us that, we're going to be with the 4th Infantry Division. We're going to train together. And
that's a famous infantry division. That's
I was with
been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, I was with both the 4th and the 25th. And he said that we would be going to Vietnam.
Wow.
So we went through basic AIT, battalion training, brigade training.
So even before you have a rifle in your hand and you're making beds and you're getting your hair cut, you are the guy that you've never seen, but probably spit and polish and looking straight, right?
Yeah.
What's that feeling like?
Well,
because you're not really you're not really indoctrinated in the military yet.
I know.
A couple of days here or there. That's it.
We all thought that he was just full of.
He was out of his mind.
We ain't going to Vietnam. Where is that anyway?
It's Southeast Asia.
Yeah,
right?
we're not going anywhere. He did that. We're going to Germany or somewhere.
South Korea, Japan. Right?
That's what we figured. We weren't going to Vietnam.
Wow.
But we ended up, the camaraderie was great. I mean, it was just, we were all in the same, what can you do?
Sure.
I mean, there weren't any AWOLs. There were no AWOLs.
Nobody took off.
No one took off. I mean, that was it. We were together. And, every time that somebody, if one of us like, okay, I was in my group last year during COVID. No, not last year, before, during COVID. And I saw the phone rang, and I looked at it. So I said, excuse me a second. I step out. I'll show you just how close we were. And I said, hey, Armin, what's going on, man? How you doing? And she says, Clarence, this is Betty. And I said, Betty? She says, yeah. And right away I knew something. And I said, what's up? I said, where's Armin? She said, Armin died last week. Wow. He was out on a job. He had his own construction business down in Penns Grove, New Jersey. And him and his sons were out on a big job. And they saw him leaning over on the bulldozer. And they thought he was just taking a break. But that he had a
heart attack?
Yeah, had a heart attack. So that's how close we are. I mean, we're very, so every time someone passes away or, something like that. Like, as a matter of fact, did you know Dawn Esposito? Her son was...
from Sayville? No, from St. James?
No, she had a son that was in my old outfit, 2nd and 22nd.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he got killed in Afghanistan, and they named Washington Avenue. There was always a sign that said Sergeant Esposito on the
that Washington Avenue off the Long Island Expressway? What is that, like North Brentwood over there, I think it is?
But there was a sign. The road was named after him.
Wow.
A big brown sign there, information sign. But she was like the mother of our unit up there, up in Watertown where we're at now. And she passed away, so I got the call that, Dawn Esposito had passed away. But her son was in the same outfit I was in, A Company, 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry. So that's how close. We still keep in touch. We still know what each other's doing, although it's been 50 some odd years that we haven't, 60 years that we haven't been together.
All right, so we're going to come back. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk to Clarence about his first days out in Fort Lewis, Washington, some of his training, and then going overseas to Southeast Asia. Please return back here to the Fog of War and Humanity on hmTv.